Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough. You know what I mean? He's a bigger receiver, so, I just try to get my head around and make a play on the ball. I mean, it didn't work in my favor, but, I try to make a play on the ball.
I think it's a bad call. I think, I don't know. You have to ask the ref. I think I played it as good as it can be played.
A couple of Bills unhappy with calls that were made in that game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where the Bills tried to mount the furious comeback that fell just short. That leads to today's After Further Review. And we're going to start in Tampa Bay with that Bills-Buccaneers game. A lot of Bills fans up in arms, a lot of Bills fans. And let me say this again, the fix is never in. But there's a lot of Bills fans that think the league wants Tom Brady back in the Super Bowl, and they're helping the Buccaneers win. And as implausible as that may be, when you see a non-call like the one that we saw when the Bills were going for the victory, 3rd and 2 from inside the Tampa Bay 10, late in the game, the throw to Stephon Diggs, and you can see the official is right there watching it, Chris, and Diggs gets mugged by Carlton Davis. Mugged! And there's no flag. Look at it, just very calmly, nonchalantly, side judge is like, nah. Look at Davis. He's holding him. He's pulling him down. How's that not pass interference, Chris?
Listen, I have no problem with the no call here. I know. I don't know. Maybe I'm.
Your boy Blue.
I know
it hurt him. Literally be
I hate the play call. I mean, first off, Diggs is not like the best 50-50 jump ball guy ever.
Not when a guy's dragging him to the ground.
Well, but see, this is where I push back on these plays just a little bit. The contact was initiated by Stephon Diggs. He puts his right arm up on Carlton Davis first on his shoulder, and that's where I don't like that. He's the one that does it first.
He's trying to get off the jam.
Well, okay, but it's 5 yards down the field. You're not allowed to keep it there and then wait until I see the ball thrown and then throw the guy by. That's what happens. That's what happens all the time to these DBs, and it's not fair. It never gets called. So, yeah, he latches on with his arms too, and now they're both grabbing each other. It's not the best thrown ball in the world. And they both kind of trip and fall because the ball's a little awkward in a bad spot. I don't have that much of a problem with that one. I don't. To me, that's rubbing is racing, and I kind of lean on don't throw the flag in that situation, especially when the offense, I think, has initiated the contact to begin with.
All right. You're not saying don't throw the flag in that situation because of the circumstances.
No, I just mean for that, actually, the circumstances of how the play unfolded. You're right. Thank you for making
because there was some guy with a giant head on the show last week who said,
I want consistency.
Throw the flag no matter what the circumstances of the game.
Right. Now, listen, Mike, that's where we can get into that conversation. If that happens in the first quarter, I'd have a hard time thinking that's not pass interference. That's where it's annoying. But as far as that play, and if I was reffing, I wouldn't call that pass interference in the first quarter or the fourth quarter. I would not. To me, that is rubbing his racing, and especially once the wide receiver puts his hand on his shoulder and starts grabbing and trying to push to get advantage, I don't know. Then don't call it just because the DB's trying not to get pushed out of the way and hold his ground a little bit.
It's the juxtaposition of that play plus something that happened in overtime that resulted in defensive pass interference being called against the Bills and giving the Buccaneers 19 yards of field position en route to their game-winning touchdown. And this prompted the Sunday Night Football rules analyst Terry McCauley to chime in on Twitter that this is not defensive pass interference if what happened in the end zone with Stephon Diggs isn't. If that's not, then this isn't.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways.
No, to me, this one is the bad call. This is where the Bills got screwed over. I mean, first off, horrible throw, okay? So we're going to reward the Bucs for that. And I understand, pass interference, part of it is impeding the wide receiver's ability to get the ball. Well, the DB has a right to the ball, too. He gets his head around. And on top of that, Mike Evans is the one that interferes. I mean, come on.
Look at his right arm.
His right arm.
He almost grabs him and pulls him in to draw the penalty. It's brilliant if that's what he did on purpose.
Or he's trying to grab him and turn him so he has a chance to catch the ball with his left hand. But, yes, I don't like that. And it goes back to what Brady said earlier this year. It's a bad play being rewarded. I don't like that. And to me, yes, this should not be called, or you call offensive pass interference. And to me, that is the worst thing in our league right now, is that offensive pass interference does not ever get called. I can come through every game and go, there's 5, 10 offensive pass interferences, push-offs by receivers. They don't care, the NFL. It's great for the highlight shows and the game and fantasy football, and they just let it go. But that was a huge moment, and I do not like that call. And I think you're with me, right? You don't like that either.
I don't like it either, and that's what has Bills fans up in arms, because they didn't get the benefit of something they thought was interference, and then they get screwed by something that they think isn't interference.
Right.
And the point that Terry McCauley made, and I think this is right, they either both are or they both aren't.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't say one is and one isn't. They either both are or they both aren't.
Yeah, I think that's the point there. And that's, again, it goes back to the inconsistencies that I think are driving a lot of people in the NFL mad and crazy. And yeah, again, I don't know. I'm getting to the point with pass interference. Like, I don't want it called, period, anymore, unless it's just so egregious and crazy. Don't call it, because it's so inconsistent. It's all over the place right now, and I think it's hard for receivers, DBs, coaches to get a feel for what's going to go on in a specific game throughout the year.
And, there's been arguments in the past that it should be a spot foul, and one way to, or not a spot foul, but a 10 or 15-yard penalty like it is at lower levels of the sport. And I guess one way to draw the line would be like they used to do with the face mask, the lower level, and they still do it with running into the kicker and roughing the kicker, a lower level that doesn't put the ball at the spot of the foul, and then the higher level where it is more egregious, it is more blatant. But you're still going to have reasonable minds differing and inconsistencies if you do have two categories of pass interference. Bills fans do think the fix is in, and one of the things they point to is they've only benefited from 2 defensive holding penalties all season. Both were called against Xavier Howard. One was declined, one was accepted. And, I've heard of statistical anomalies like this, and sometimes it gets ridiculous when you look at the penalties not called on a team, but against the opponent that a team is playing. And it just fuels these urban legends and conspiracy theories with tinfoil hats that something's going on, and that's just not good for anybody.
No, it's not. We talk about this a lot lately. It's not. It's not good for anybody. It's not good for the league. Most importantly, it's not. And then again, sometimes statistical anomalies happen like that. Certainly, have they been screwed over a few times? I'm sure. There's no doubt. The other thing I would say is, there's some teams on that list, and I know this doesn't hold true all the way together, but I just look at it too and go, again, there's not you look at some of those teams, they have either creative ways to pick players and do things that way that create the holding, or they have really talented receivers. Throw that graphic up again there. Yeah, I want to see that one more time. Yeah, that'd be the other thing too. And I'd go, Bills, nobody has to hold your receivers other than Stephon Diggs. Nobody's worried about holding Cole Beasley or Emmanuel Sanders. I'm trying to explain this to people because people so I still hear people going, the Bills, all these weapons. And I'm going to go, what? What weapons? Shut up. There's no weapons. Nobody cares about doubling Cole Beasley or Emmanuel Sanders or anybody. Nothing. It's average talent in Buffalo at the skill positions. Average. They have an absolute superstar quarterback. The Bucs, the Chiefs, the Steelers, the Chargers have superstar receivers. All right? It's superstar receivers. So there's going to be some defensive holding and pass interference again against them. Cowboys, you see there, they're not getting the holding. They're getting a lot of PIs. But, yeah, I don't know. There's something there to me that as far as that stands out, too.
Taunting continues to hover over the NFL. There were a couple of those that happened this weekend. Bengals safety Von Bell drew a taunting foul as it relates to 49ers center Alex Mack. But DJ Reader of the Bengals offered up a defensive Bell. Let's watch the play here. Bell, he thought it was a fumble, and he picks it up. And Bell, let's see what he does. He points it at Alex Mack, and there's the flag. And DJ Reader said that Bell said to Mack, "You almost hit me," that it wasn't intended to be taunting. But the problem is, and they've all been coached, don't do it. Don't stick the hand in the face of, don't gesture toward an opponent. That's going to get you flagged unless you're Kendrick Bourne and you do it very quickly. But he did it very quickly. He did it, but that's exactly what they're telling guys to not do. So it doesn't surprise me, even with the explanation that he drew that flag, Chris. I'm not saying I like it.
No,
I'm saying
I know.
we understand it by now.
Yeah, that's really the point. I mean, first off, I want to go, come on, man. You saw him throw the ball. Why are you picking it up anyways? You know it's an incomplete pass. Damn, just let the damn thing go. You were looking right at him. That's the first thing I want to say. And then, yeah, I don't like it either because this is not exactly what I feel was intended, but it's poster. This is poster. Like, what do I want to say? Poster child? Something like, yeah. Textbook
example.
Exactly. Thank you. Of like, yes. Again, I mean, this started because of Tyreek Hill and Antoine Winfield Jr. in your face with pointing or the deuces or whatever. I mean, this is what they learned from day one. I mean, doing that is going to get you in trouble. That's where you want to talk about a play that lost you a game. That lost them the game. They muff a punt. They get the stop. They're going to make the 49ers kick the field goal. It's, I believe at the time, 10-6. And instead, the next play, George Kittle catches a touchdown pass at 17-6. It cost them not only the touchdown, but probably the ability maybe even to have another few plays for them to maybe go down and kick a field goal before the half ended. Huge play in that football game and bonehead mistake. That's all you can really say.
And Bengals fans are salty about this, not because of the foul per se, but the inconsistency, because also in the game, Jaquiski Tartt of the 49ers not flagged for taunting after he applies that hit.
Yeah, that's what it was for, and that's ridiculous.
Yes, that's the kind of thing that we've seen flagged. And again, if you're going to enforce this rule, if this is your point of emphasis, you have to do it consistently. So when a guy tackles someone and gets up in his face like that, the teammate's trying to pull him away. We're going to get 15 yards here.
Right.
What are they thinking? Why aren't they flagging that, Chris?
I don't know. That is the argument the Bengal fans have. That was way worse than Von Bell. Oh, and what are they saying? Because he turned his head after he bumped him, he wasn't really doing that? Come on. That's ridiculous.
He rushes into his face.
Exactly. While he's flexing. I mean, what are they trying to say? The fact that he turned his head to the left there as he hit him, he got the head turned, so it wasn't directed towards him. Absolutely ridiculous. That to me is worse than the other play, but again, Von Bell with the finger pointing, that's textbook. But yeah, it's just so inconsistent right now, and that's what's bothering. So either call them all the time or don't call them at all. But don't ruin the freaking game by calling it for one team and not the other.
That could be an interesting exception to the rule. As long as you're not facing the guy, it's not taunting. You can back into him. You can moonwalk into him.
I see guys doing that kind of – there's guys doing that. They figured that out. There's some guys that do that when I watch on film every week who have realized, like, I break up a pass and the receiver's over here, and I kind of flex and walk sideways and, accidentally got in his way to let him know I'm the man. There's definitely that going on, 100%.
Well, there's definitely risk in doing that because you never know when you're going to be flagged for illegal posturing.
Right.
The Cassius Marsh rule, that happened to Tyrann Mathieu in the 48-9 romp by the Chiefs over the Las Vegas Raiders. Mathieu was flagged for taunting the bench of the Raiders. Let's take a look at the play. There's Mathieu closing in on the thing. Now what did he do? What did he do?
He talked.
That's it?
Illegal talking. Illegal talk. See, that to me is not what the rule was intended for. The rule was not intended for somebody on the Raiders bench to be able to talk shit to him and then he can't talk back. Yeah. There you go. Hello.
Oh,
sorry.
God.
Yeah, after further review, that was unnecessary language. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But, yes.
We apologize.
That is ridiculous. Like, ridiculous. Somebody's talking crap to him right there. They're talking to him. And then he turns around and tells him to shut up or be quiet or whatever, and that's what they flag. Come on. That's not why we put this in there. That's not. That's a stupid. Nobody would have even known he was taunting. TV, you couldn't tell. He could have been saying, hey, Coach, I'll see you at Christmas dinner. We don't know. Hey, Coach, I'll see you. Happy New Year. That's where horrible.
It's Christmas season. You got to talk like that on the air.
I know.
You say it enough off the air.
I know. I felt like
God.
that deserved it a little bit, so I went with it. I'm sorry. I mean, I know.
It's funny, though, because even though I'm not in the room and haven't been the past couple of years, last year really nobody was in the room a lot of the time, but I'm still part of the conversation, and I hear you. And it's funny how your willingness to let the expletives fly in the presence of Coach Dungy and his patience, and he is the most patient individual I've ever encountered in my life.
Yes.
He just kind of smiles. You say, sorry, Coach, but it doesn't stop you from letting them fly as needed.
No, it doesn't. Well, Coach kind of gave me the green light a little bit. Like, I still say sorry, Coach, but he kind of gave me the green light because he's like, hey, listen, you don't have to say sorry to me. He said to me, like, early in the year, you don't have to say sorry to me. I've been around the NFL for a long time in a lot of locker rooms. I've heard these words. So I don't feel as guilty as I used to, I guess. I feel like we're close enough friends that he knows that I'm not a bad guy. I just got a bad potty mouth, and it stops there.
Yes, as we all found out 5 minutes ago. Here's another one. We talked about this earlier in the week, but it's important to emphasize this so there's no confusion. There are plenty of missed calls for roughing the passer. There are plenty of bad calls of roughing the passer, which we would call nothing the passer. The Lamar Jackson injury occurred on a play that was clean and it was legal because when you leave the pocket as the passer, you forfeit the protection against hits at or below the knee. He's out of the pocket, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, trying to tackle him, lunges, dives, and catches his ankle. That's fine. The rule is in place to protect the quarterback who is truly defenseless and at risk of getting destroyed standing still and actually stepping into and toward the pressure from the pocket. Out of the pocket, that concern isn't there. Clean play, clean hit. Unfortunately, he got injured, but not a foul, and rightfully not a foul.
No, right call, right. Good thing they didn't call it. You explained it right. I mean, yeah, it's Lamar Jackson. He's outside the pocket, definitely. You're just trying to make a tackle at this point. This is not why the guy's in the pocket, like you said, throwing with a leg just, sitting out there that's very vulnerable. This is just unfortunate, football play right here. But, correctly officiated there. And I know there was a lot of people that originally saw that and thought that was for sure, roughing the passer, and you explained it perfectly.
Seems like every good call from a game is balanced out by a bad one. Here is Devontae Freeman being called for unnecessary roughness after Browns defensive end Ifeadi Odenigbo recovers a fumble, and apparently the official got a little mixed up as to whether or not the roughness that was experienced was indeed necessary. We've got the recovery, and Freeman tries to tackle the guy. Freeman at number 33 applies the tackle because the guy's not down. No. He's not down.
Oliver there touched the wrong guy.
Down.
Right.
And he's running with the ball. What are you supposed to do? Let him go and find out later that he really wasn't down? You got to put the guy down.
I agree.
If he's running the ball and he's clearly not down, you got to put him down. And I'm not saying you go out of your way to try to hurt him. This is a smaller guy hitting a larger guy. I don't got a problem with this.
No, absolutely not. I mean, again, this is where this is where Sky Judge would have came in very handy to go. Wait, pick the flag up. The guy wasn't down, so we can't get mad at a guy for tackling him. Tackling's part of football. And they're just no common sense, absolutely whatsoever. I mean, ridiculous. It really is. And we see that a lot, too. I mean, we see that a lot where plays where, players think it's a fumble and they pick it up. And now they're running like they're going to go score a touchdown. And you have some lineman who didn't really see how the ball got on the ground and he was blocking and whatever. And he comes over and tackles the guy. I don't know what they want the offensive player to do there. If a defensive player is going to pick up the ball and act like he's running for a touchdown, and who knows, we've seen plays like that go, oh, well, that is a fumble. Oh, he did pick it up. He did run for a touchdown. I mean, we've seen that happen. That's where they got to get into common sense a little bit and give a little leeway. And that's where Sky Judge would have definitely came in handy. Also, what's very impressive there, the flag landing in the hoodie of the guy on the sideline doing the time. Did you see that? The flag landed in the guy's hoodie there?
I missed that.
Show
it's
it
better
again.
than the flag.
Yeah.
It's better than the flag hitting someone in the eye, which once happened in a Browns game. Jeff Triplett and Orlando Brown. Yeah, but no, I missed that. If they're going to play it,
common sense.
Because we need to move on.
Common
sense.
Here
it comes. They're queuing it up in the control room as we speak. Please,
watch
Chris,
this. Watch the guy in the maroon jacket. Watch the maroon jacket. Watch this. Upper left. Here he is. Boom. Right in his hood.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Got him on the back of the neck a little bit.
Yeah.
Most exciting sideline video since a guy was stirring the Gatorade with the sleeve of cups in Washington a few years ago.
Yeah.
That's still an all-timer. I wonder if we have that floating around somewhere.
That is
if we have
so
that floating around
hilarious.
somewhere and that gets played before the end of the day, that will make my day. That will balance out the angst I have for Chris dropping an S-bomb. All right, here we go. The next one from the same game, and this would have been a major, major deal if the Ravens had parlayed the onside kick that they recovered into a victory over the Browns. Ravens lost by 2 points, but they did recover the onside kick. Illegal formation, not called. Third guy from the right, not at the line of scrimmage, giving him an opportunity, not a line of scrimmage, but you know what I mean, the line of kicking, giving him an opportunity to get a little extra momentum. And they were telling the guys beforehand, get up to the line. They didn't flag the third guy for being too far away from the line. And they saw it. They saw it. And it's kind of like, are they tugging? You know, every time I see hands moving around on an official, I'm thinking, is he thinking about pulling a flag out? What am I doing here? And that's what gets people a little bit queasy and a little bit curious about what's really going on. See that? See, there's the 124. He's kind of like, he's thinking, I think he's thinking about it. Let's watch this again.
He's telling.
You got the guy who's clearly not.
He was telling the guy to get on the line, like to say you're not on the line, and then just let it go. I don't know. They were trying to tell a few guys. You could probably call the guy at the end of the play, on the end of the line of scrimmage, 57. I don't know if he was on the line of scrimmage either. You know, it's borderline.
What causes the official not to throw the ball?
I don't know.
They not want to hear it from John Harbaugh. He's down there on the Ravens sideline.
And you hear the coaches saying
see
it.
that it looks like he's starting to go for the flag, but you just have to wonder. And we've seen John Harbaugh blow a gasket from time to time. You just have to wonder if that guy just. I hate to be this cynical about it, but. It's just like, I don't want to deal with it's been a long day. It's cold. I just don't want to deal with this right now. Does that human emotion take over? Something caused this guy to not throw what should have been an easy flag.
Yeah, it looked like but I agree. I mean, it does. This is the first time I'm really seeing this. It does look like he's running out there with his hand on the flag, like he's going to do it, and then decides to spot the ball and just give the ball to the Ravens there. But yeah, again, that can't be allowed. That cannot. And that's how conspiracy theories and everything are going to start, with stuff like that, where the guy knew it was a penalty. He's telling the guy, and they don't fix the problem, and he still doesn't call it to be a penalty, let alone he's got a coach on the team yelling to tell that guy also to move up because they're afraid to get the penalty. He certainly would have been justified 100% to throw that, and I don't care if Harbaugh, breaks a gasket or not. There's nothing he could argue there. That was against the rules.
By the way, Matt Casey has chimed in with another submission for compelling sideline video beyond the stirring of the Gatorade with the sleeve of cups. It involves a certain man with a large head and his LeBrons on, who almost got put on his ass on the sideline at a playoff game.
Thank you, Matt Casey.
Ago.
Thank you.
So I'd forgotten about that. That was a memorable moment, which would have been even more memorable if you had gone flying like Kramer. If you had still had your dress shoes on, you would have.
I would have.
All right,
right.
This is one that a viewer has called Nothing the Snapper. From the Seattle-Houston game, long snapper John Weeks, unnecessary roughness called against him committed by Al Woods. What's now? Isn't it you're not allowed to touch him at all? Is that the rule? Is that why?
I thought that.
Is that why this flag is thrown? Not allowed to touch his head.
Yes. Right.
Did he touch his head?
I mean, it looks like he does, maybe with his right oblique there or whatever, the side of his stomach, seems to maybe hit him. I mean, it's grazing. I'm not going to be mad at this one. I'm not.
Yeah. Mike Pereira says it's technically correct because a long snapper is defenseless when his head is down like that.
Right.
So even though it looks like nothing to snapper, there are extra protections that apply to the snapper. Because, Chris, those guys used to just get destroyed.
Right. It wasn't safe. It really wasn't. It's actually amazing with the NFL and all of us let that go on for that long. Remember, I mean, they used to put 6 guys over the 2 or 3 guys in the middle there, and it was just like, whoa, okay, here we go. I'm going to get killed. And let me snap the ball, make sure I get it there as I'm going to get run over and, squished in some uncomfortable position that's dangerous. And that's where it is dangerous, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't. Guy's got his head down. He's in a very vulnerable position. Somebody runs into you the wrong way. It could, concussions, neck problems, whatever. I'm not going to be too mad at that one.
I wonder if they've done a study on the reduction in bad snaps since that. Because you can imagine. Can you imagine how many bad snaps are influenced by knowing that the moment that ball makes its way through your legs, you are getting killed by these guys who are just ready to go. They are ready, and you bet they're hearing plenty. The long snapper hearing plenty about what's going to happen as soon as the ball goes. I have a feeling that we'd see an increase in good snaps now that protection is there. Thursday Night Football, Minka Fitzpatrick of the Steelers called for unnecessary roughness on Vikings receiver KJ Osborne. Fitzpatrick would later go to Twitter to blast the decision to throw the flag. This is the whole helmet-to-helmet hit of the defensive player. From the angle of the guy who calls it, when you see that angle, oh boy, it's not. But I guess I understood it because from the end zone angle, it did look like it, but it clearly wasn't. Fitzpatrick said very poor officiating. Calls like this can change the outcomes of games. He's right about that. Football's a violent sport. People will get hit hard legally. Receivers running across the middle know what they signed up for. It's part of the game. Well, they didn't sign up to get torpedoed in the helmet, but they did sign up to take those hard body hits. And the problem is some of those hits are so good, you just assume that it was an illegal hit. We're conditioned. Anytime we see the kind of hit that used to make us ooh and ah, the kind of hit they used to market with videos that you would get, when you get a subscription to Sports Illustrated, the NFL's biggest hits or whatever the case may be. And there are some NFL Crash Course, all sorts of violent, over-the-top titles they'd use to market those videos. We see those now, and we just assume it's a penalty, even in the occasions when it shouldn't be. Yeah,
I hate it. I hate it. And again, the referees got to start realizing that these DBs and linebackers have become very good. It's rare. It's rare that they use the head now. I mean, this is Minka Fitzpatrick. He is as top-level athlete as it gets in our country. I mean, it's perfection. That's perfection, in my opinion. There's nothing Mike Tomlin or anybody on that Steelers staff is going to tell him to change this week when they play a football game. He's going to go do it again. And to me, again, Mike, this just gets back a little to my little pet peeve here of man, I mean, again, is there a point in building a great defense anymore if you can't do stuff like that? I mean, that's part of Pittsburgh. You run over the middle, you're a quarterback, you throw something stupid like that, I don't know what to say. I mean, again, he's just doing his job. He broke up the pass. He turned his head. He hit him with his shoulder. I mean, it was perfection. Absolutely perfection. Bad call. Horrible call.
Let me share something with you, too, because my book Playmakers comes out 3 months from today. Gratuitous plug for it. But in there, as we talk about, and it's about 110, 115 different anecdotes about things that have happened over the last 20 years. But I tell the story of how they finally got Mike Tomlin to come around because he was one of the loudest holdouts when it comes to making the game safer because he did not want to sacrifice the intimidation factor of his defense, but he eventually did indeed come around. We have to show the nothing. We have to have 1-0 the passer. We have to. We can't do the segment. Pete, there
was many this week.
I know, but we got to show one. Matt Ryan, Miles Hartfield hitting, air quotes, hitting Matt Ryan and getting a nothing the passer call. There wasn't 2 steps. There wasn't a low hit. The helmet wasn't involved.
Perfection.
The face was up.
Perfection.
It's just he hit the quarterback too hard.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, not even Matt Ryan's looking for a penalty. I mean, he's not even expecting it because he didn't even get grazed in the head or the face mask or anything. I mean, and quarterbacks now, they're conditioned to look every time they even feel like they get touched that way to go to the ref because, hey, I would too. You might get a free 15. But come on. Again. Goes to my point. Is it worth even building a big physical defense anymore if we're not going to do that? Damn, let's just put a bunch of receivers on the team. I don't know. That is just disgusting and stupid. And the NFL seems not to care or stop. It's ridiculous. And
they want the quarterbacks to be protected.
I know.
They want the quarterbacks to be protected. And now, part of the problem, Chris, there's no transparency. There's no discussion. We are now getting, and I think the pressure we have put on the NFL has resulted in these perfunctory and frankly worthless 2-minute videos from Perry Fuel with a smattering of calls that were fine, and they're just explaining them. Like they'll probably have Lamar Jackson this week. Oh, he was outside of the pocket and they hit him low. Like they're never going to address anything controversial. But unless the league is pushing back hard on the officials to not do this, and we've heard nothing to suggest the league is upset about this, they're trying to protect the quarterbacks. And the cynical part of me, and it's a fairly big part, says now that they're at 17, they want to get to 18. And one way to get to 18 is to aggressively enforce the safety rules to keep the – now, it's important to be conscious of player health and safety, but I think there's a desire to make it even safer and even healthier so it can be even more lucrative when they get to 18 games.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.